you for joining us on Coach's Corner. Today we have with us
Monique Lee, Coach Mo.
Okay, so Coach, tell us, introduce yourself to the world. Tell us your name, and you told us your name. Tell us your program, who you represent, and yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm Coach Mo. I represent the Baltimore Royals Youth Sports Program. We were established in 2019. Women-led. My sister and myself runs the program. Everything, just the two of us, and we've been having a good time with youth sports in Baltimore City.
Okay. Coach, we're going to kind of go to the beginning.
Okay.
Before we get all the way back around to your greatness. Let's tell us about your upbringing. Where you grew up at? What part of town? Let us know a little bit.
So I'm a little bit unorthodox. So I was born and raised in Baltimore City, Park Heights and Belvedere. Went to Langston Hughes Elementary School. Was here till about 9 years old. Then I became a resident of Miami, Dade County. Stayed there and then came back to Baltimore for high school. So I'm a Wildcat, Northwestern Wildcat. Class of 98, all 4 years there. Went to Coppin, class of 2002. Then went to Michigan to law school, came back, and I'm a resident in Baltimore County, but spend most of my time in the city.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Take us a little bit through your upbringing in Miami.
So Miami, quite frankly, reminded me of Park Heights where we lived. It was, predominantly black, but school was mixed. School, you got a little bit of everything. We had Hispanic, Haitian, white, black, everything. So culturally, that was a good look because you saw other people. You got to see pretty much around the world, different backgrounds. You learned a lot of culture. My family's from Jamaica, so we were almost at home being in Miami. But as far as like growing up, it reminds me of when I was in Baltimore. I mean, each in this community, all the kids were outside all the time. We're playing sports. We had our own seasons. We had football season. We had basketball season. We had when we just rode our bikes in the neighborhood. One of the last places I lived, we were close to like Joe Robbie Stadium. They changed the name now, but we were technically as Carroll City. So not the most affluent neighborhoods, but like you got really family oriented, like the neighborhood, we were all family. Everybody look out for each other. If one parent said something, it just had that community feel, and that's how it was before I left from Baltimore, living in the Park Heights area. That's how it was because my entire family was from Jamaica to Park Heights. So it was a full circle moment coming back to Baltimore because when I went to Northwestern, that's where all my family actually was. They went to school and graduated from. But if you think about Baltimore, I think Miami was probably about the same thing, just better weather.
So it's something about Park Heights to me. I don't know quite what it is, but it got like a Jamaican accent somehow.
So I'll tell you, Jamaica, that's like, so in Florida we have you have little Cuba, little Haiti. Park Heights is little Jamaica.
Okay.
My father's family, my mother's family, pretty much you can't not know a Jamaican. We lived on Belvedere, 3500 block. My grandparents had the store Ace of Spade that connects to the two side houses that we had in the middle of the block. You have all the Jamaican restaurants. My cousin had a store on Park Heights in Belvedere on Park Heights. She had a Jamaican restaurant. So a lot of Jamaicans migrate in that area. It's like back in the 80s, well, from the 70s, probably 80s, 90s, all Jamaicans probably, that's a community that you can find a lot of Jamaicans.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember going to school up there too for the mighty Wildcats.
Yes.
And, I remember seeing the Jamaican stores and, it seemed like it's some Jamaican kid. It just seemed like it's
all of it.
It just seemed like it's some Jamaica up there somewhere.
Yeah, I would consider it little Jamaica. I don't know it's still a lot of Jamaican stores, like even the supermarkets up there. You have the bakery on Rogers. So it's still kind of heavy populated, but not like it was when I was a kid. It was, a lot of Jamaicans. I don't know why they fluctuated to that area, but it was heavily Jamaican in that area.
Yes, ma'am. I definitely can concur to that. So I want to know, when did you fall in love with this game that you coach?
So it's odd because I started playing basketball probably later than probably other people, probably like age 9 when I started playing basketball in Miami. And it was different because we played outdoors mostly. I'm not from inside of a rec, so kind of gritty. It was all boys because it wasn't a lot of girls that played basketball when I first started. Because elementary school girls wasn't really interested, so it was mostly playing with boys. Started in the neighborhood. Once I got to school, the school had a team, particularly mostly in middle school. Played AAU down there. Don't know if I fell in love with it then because I think I had an issue with I was tall for my age at that point, so I was taller than a lot of people, so they assumed you play basketball, they assumed you love basketball. I don't know if I loved it yet. Then I came here, played at Northwestern, made the varsity team 9th grade, played all 4 years. Don't know if I loved it right away either. Still, I think it was one of those things, well, you're tall, you should play. But I'm a hustler. I played hard. I played my role. We had a great team. Don't know if I loved it until oddly enough, I was the boys basketball team manager under Coach Robinson. And I think watching him gave me a love of the game that I probably didn't have. And I think it's that experience that I didn't set out to be a coach. You know, I have a whole different life completely separate from that. But I think when the opportunity came up and the need was there, what I experienced with Coach Robinson, that's when I could say I loved the game and wanted to give back to the community and teach the game. So it's almost like my relationship with Coach Robinson made me fall in love with the game, not necessarily just me playing, because basketball wasn't my first priority always.
Okay. So some of us have it, some of us don't. Would you say, or who would you say would you consider to be your sensei, the person that got you, certain level in the game, or just, mentoring you through the game?
So my first basketball coach at Northwestern was Miss Coach Brown, a little short coach. I don't think you were there yet. She was pretty good as far as teaching the fundamentals, but I think Coach Robinson was always that person for me. And it's odd because he wasn't my coach. He was the boys basketball coach. But it was from just watching his leadership, watching and just how he coached, how passionate he was about it, how he was with the children, how he really bought into, like, if he was for you, he was for you, and you knew it, and he went above and beyond. So he would be my person. To this day, we still have a relationship. Like, he sent me little motivational quotes every single morning, so I still talk to him to this day. Or if I have a question or need guidance, that would be the person. So for basketball, even though he wasn't my direct coach, I don't know if anyone else had that influence on me like he did.
Shout out Coach Robinson.
Yes, please do.
Describe your coaching style.
So
in
my
one
coach,
word. In one word.
That's a hard question because I could be tough. I do coach boys primarily, so I am tough. But with a loving, they get it's a loving side to it, but it's tough because I know what I'm dealing with, and I know being a female coaching boys, I have to be mindful that there's a respect, there's boundaries, but it has to be a little bit firm so that because I'm setting an example and it's not the typical example that you would see in boys basketball. So what they would get from me is probably what they don't get from you. Mm-hmm. And they know I don't play. Okay. So in your face. But obviously kids are different. So once I learn my kids, that's why I said it's a hard question, because once I learn my kids, I'm actually a different person for each kid.
Right. Okay. Take us. Well, no. You said you started in 19, your program?
Yeah, about 19.
Okay. What are the foundations of your program and of the culture?
Okay. So our program is birthed out of actually football. So the Baltimore Terps was a football program primarily, and BNBA, which is Baltimore Neighborhood Basketball Association, Coach Quasey at the time came up with, they were trying not to have downtime for the football players. So in between the seasons, like they don't have winter or sometimes in the summer, there's nothing for the kids to do. So they decided that they wanted to add basketball to keep the kids busy. And so our program wasn't a traditional basketball program for just hoopers. It was literally football kids that we were keeping busy, and out of that you birthed some people who realized that they had the skills to play basketball. And over the years, I got some actual hoopers that was their main sport. So my first year, I coached 6U, And I didn't go there to coach. I went to watch my nephew play basketball at a game, and they're playing. And my sister was volunteering, but it was something. I don't think she was the main coach or not. And I don't know what these people were doing with the kids. And if you take basketball serious, you know it drives you. You know how you are. It drives you nuts when kids don't know the fundamentals. And granted, they were 6, but it was a hot mess. I was at the next practice. So I didn't go there as the coach. I was going to be auntie of the year on the sidelines cheering my nephew on. I probably was at the next practice, and I haven't left basketball since.
Okay.
So then we were with the Terps for 6U, and then because basketball wasn't really their thing, they didn't want to continue basketball at a certain point. And now I have 60 kids, and I wasn't just going to drop it. So that's how our program was birthed, to continue what we had started. So we probably wouldn't have had the Royals if they didn't stop basketball at that time with the Terps. I would have been probably still coaching with them. But I wasn't going to drop the ball at that point because the kids had started getting excited and liking basketball. So to continue that, and not necessarily that I had the time, but I was going to make the time to continue what we had started with the kids. So that's how our program technically was birthed.
Yes, ma'am. What helped shape your coaching philosophy?
So I felt like with the way I would say my strong suit with being a coach and what I got from him, knowing your kids, knowing that no 2 kids are the same, showing them that you care. And a lot of us say that, but I mean like really doing it. So even though I coach in the winter and in the summertime for basketball, I'm at every football game. I'm around if my kids play at I got kids in high school, I make sure they see my face, because the one thing I know coming from the city, that support, seeing that parent, seeing that coach, if you see how my kids look when they see me in the stands, and as busy as my schedule is, I'm like, okay, I literally map out my kids' schedule. They send it to me at the beginning. Like now it's for basketball season, obviously. So all the schools, middle schools or high schools and us are playing. I map out which games I can get to. And even if I only get to one, they're going to see me and say, okay, coach left work early to come see me. And I think it's so important, because that's what I feel like we're lacking, because coaches are like, oh yeah, we support. But once the season's over, they're not really checking in with those kids. Those kids will never see them again until they need them for the next season. My main thing is that I want to make sure my kids know year round, you can call me. I'm going to show up. I'm that coach that's at PTA meetings. I go to back to school night. I've been on IEP meetings, discipline. Teachers know they can call me. So I try to really be that foundation and help with the parents, particularly my parents that are single parents. It does take a village, but we can't just say it. They know if they call me, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to have their back, because a lot of times, unfortunately, the school system, when they have a single parent and some things they might not understand, they kind of like ready to throw the kids to the side, right? But I'm going to be that advocate outside of just basketball, because it's more than just basketball. I want to see these kids get to high school. I want to see them I can't wait to have our first kid to go to college. And if there's anything that I can do, I'm going to do it. As long as they do their part, grades, show up, do what they're supposed to do, like what we taught them, and take that on to high school, to college, it's nothing that I won't do for those kids. So I think that's the thing, is the support, and it just can't be when they're playing for me, you know. I have a senior, he's at City, he played for Forest Park that, you know, I'm loyal to Forest Park because that's what we play. I'm there to cheer him on, you know. Or if I'm at City, Edmondson, you know, I got a couple kids that wherever they are, whatever the sport, I'll go to watch a lacrosse game. My kids know that from 6U on, that I will support them. And so that's my philosophy. Like, just don't be a part-time coach.
Right.
It's full-time. And if you're going to be in these kids' lives, really be in their lives. It can't be something that you just pick up, because that's what they're used to. You know, teachers do it. Some of their parents do it. Family members. They need that consistency. And you'd be surprised how I've seen my kids who, when I started, they were 6. My kids are 14 now. That group that I started with, they're 14 now. They're young men. And if you see where they came from, just having that support, do all of them make it that way? No, but you made it. You can see the change, or the communication, or how they carry themselves, because they know they don't want to disappoint you, and they know that their parents gonna call. I think that's the most important thing, more than me coaching or winning a game, wins and losses, is the impact in their life full time. So that's why I take a lot of pride in.
Yes, ma'am. Coach, what's the biggest misconception of coaching?
The biggest misconception for coaching, from my perspective, I'm going to give you 2, that it has to be a man to coach boys. I had a tough time when I first started. I think because of what my career path is, people must think that I'm a silver spoon bougie girl from the county or somewhere. They don't, because I don't tell my story.
And can you pause you real quick? Can you please tell us what that is, please?
So I'm a personal injury lawyer, have been for 19 years. Like I said, I went to Northwestern, I went to Coppin, but I also went to law school. I'm coming up on my 20-year anniversary. So I think sometimes people take that to think I don't have that grit, and they think that they can deal with you a certain kind of way, or if I can be the example for the boys because the boys are from the city, or until they get to really know me when you cross, then they realize, oh, she's not that pushover,
right.
And a lot of times it's just sometimes it's just sexism, and they think, oh, it's a woman, but I think I've put in the work and they've seen, and so I don't have the disrespect that I think I had when we first started, because I don't back down to a challenge. So you don't have to be the same sex to coach. It just depends on, like, when you set those boundaries and you lay that foundation from day one, they're going to buy into it. It's if you're not consistent, I'm not my kids' friends.
Right.
They know that there's certain things that I joke with them, we can play, but I don't tolerate no disrespect with my boys because I'm raising boys to become young men. And sometimes I think what's unique is I also have maybe a soft spot that maybe the men don't have. I'm more nurturing, where I'm not babying them because I don't baby.
But I might just tell them go ahead about that business.
You might tell them, but then so I might have a little bit more of a nurture part that maybe a male coach can't. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. They think that girls should coach girls and boys should coach. I don't necessarily think that. And then another thing is, not necessarily with me because I didn't play basketball at a higher level. You don't have to play basketball at a higher level, but you do need to know the game, know the basics, know the fundamental, constantly evolving and working on yourself to know the game. But you don't actually have to play at the highest level to coach.
You don't have to be professional.
You don't have to be a professional to coach.
You don't have to be D1.
No.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
don't.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What's something that you take from your playing days that you still use today?
So I'm defense first. Always remember I started with football players. So they weren't basketball players. But I said, you know what? If you guys follow and we get get disciplined into defense, the offense will come later. We'll work on the shots later. But if you get enough stops and you get enough opportunities, you might not make a couple of shots, but if you get 2 and 3 chances, something's gonna go in. So we're defense first. I pride myself on that. Over the years we've developed the offense, but when I just had raw football players, I'm like, this is what y'all do. Mm-hmm. So it was easy for me to transition them into basketball. I'm like, now you can't tackle them.
Fly the ball.
Right, and so I used to what they know and try to incorporate it into basketball, but we started with defense, and that's how I was when I did play. Defense was most important, and that's how it created the offense. So that's one of the things I think we focus on.
What makes a player coachable for Coach Mo?
Well, they gotta listen, follow directions. To me, effort. I would rather a kid that would listen, be open-minded, want to get better than my all-star. Because sometimes you might be the best player, but if you have a bad attitude, give little effort, got to be coachable. I drill that in my boys' head because some of the ones who are more so a basketball player than a football player that still happen to play basketball, they tend to take for granted that they have to be disciplined and everything like that. So to me, if they're not coachable, where they're not listening, open-minded, you don't know everything, that's the kind of kids I want. I want kids that just want to give me their best effort. Some of my best players are not basketball players. I don't even call them basketball players. But you know what? They're going to go for every loose ball. They're going to do everything that you tell them to do. Yes, coach, look you in your face, want to get better. The kids that come up to me and say, hey, I did this. What was I supposed to do? And I make sure when I take them out or if I'm correcting them, I stop and let them know what they did right, and here's what you did wrong. Because you just can't pull a kid, but never tell them why you're pulling them, what's the issue. So I try to teach them, even during a game, if I pull you, stand next to me. And I'm talking to that kid while the game's going, where I'm still doing both, so they can know, here's what you did. You did that right, but I need you to stop reaching. I need you to stop doing this. Hey, when you post up, if you just go straight up, that way, and if they're the kids who I can tell are listening and taking it in and go right back in and do what you say, I'll take those kids every day, whether I don't care about the skill level.
Yes, ma'am. How do you earn the trust of the players?
It takes time. You have to say what you mean and mean what you say. Consistency. You can't be up and down, back and you have to be consistent, and it takes time because a lot of times these kids have had people who have disappointed them in life, right? Been in and out. I've dealt with the same thing, so I can relate to that. So and I know what the one thing that I had an issue from, like from my parents' perspective, not my mom, but being consistent. If you say you're gonna do something, do it. And the fact that they see you and know that you care, and it takes time because different kids have different. Some kids off the rip, I love Coach Mo, and some of them like I don't know. But I believe in putting. That's why I would say the reason why I will go to schools or go to like today. I just came from a birthday party. I'm going to show them that I care, so I'm going to show up. And over time, they'll realize, you know what? Coach Mo is the one that's coming to my games or came to my birthday party or came to my school play, whatever it is. So I think it takes time. I don't think any two kids are going to take to you right away. But I think my kids that I've had over the years, I've put the work in. And whatever I say I'm going to do, I do it. But I expect the same thing from them. So.
When we coaching plan, all we run about is wins, right? Wins come with the losses. I would like to ask you, and if you can go stretch it a little bit if you can. What would you consider outside of your playing days some of your wins and losses in life?
I think coming from, like I said, Baltimore City and not just falling into the trap that we couldn't dream bigger. And I think for me, I tried to use myself as the example because a lot of times if you don't see it, you don't think it's possible. And I tell my kids all the time, I don't want to hear that you can't go to college. I went to Northwest and they ain't even open no more. I went to Coppin, right down the street, HBCU, homegrown. It can happen. So sometimes having that example, and I try to be that example for my kids, they were like, you're a lawyer? I didn't know, because they probably never seen or known someone personally that is. So what I do with my kids is I try to expose them to things that they haven't been exposed to. Most of my kids, their first time to a professional basketball game, I took them. So one of the activities I do, I try to take them to professional sporting events. I've taken them to the Wizards game and had the team name on the board and everything, so they experience it. So they're like, that's us, they named us. Or the fact that we just went to DC. It's not like we went that far. Or like when with my job, we sometimes get the suite for the Georgetown games. So the kids who have report cards that look like I want them to look, because grades are important. I check grades every off season. I check grades all year long. So what I do is the ones who have certain grades, all A's and B's, they will get an opportunity to go to the Georgetown game. We're in the suite, where it's all free food, everything, and so they can see like these are the things that happens when you do the right things. So I try to take them outside of their four corners so they can dream big. And I think with myself, like I said, living in Florida, and then when I went to school in Michigan, so I've been in places where I was a minority for sure, and it was maybe 5 black people where I lived in Michigan, or in Florida where it was a melting pot. I try to take them and do other things to try to show them, like, you don't just dream the city and this is it. I'm talking to them about college. I'm talking to them about careers, and then I use myself like, it can happen. Don't think because of your circumstances or where you live, that means nothing. So I think that's one of the things as far as trying to be outside of the box. I'll have people come speak to them. I just try to introduce them to things that they may not normally see, because I don't want them to think that just what they see around them, that's where it ends. Because for me, I never thought that's where it ended. I never thought, oh, you from Park Heights, so this is all you could do. That was never thought to me. I was like, I think middle school is when I knew I was going to be a lawyer. And I don't think I had a plan B. Literally, I was like, okay, I just got to get through here. I never thought about the fact that I was at Northwestern that made a difference. I didn't think because I went to Coppin that made a difference. I just need to get past that point, graduate, and I just knew I could do it. And so trying to be that example and explain to my kids, you can too. And then now we have a lot more examples coming out of Baltimore, thankfully. You have the St. Francis in the schools where you see kids or, you see the play basketball, you see Derek Queen, you see, Bud on TV. So now we have more examples than we did before. So I hope that helps our kids. And so of course we want to take them to a Wizards game now, because now we got a local at the Wizards game and stuff like that. So I think just trying to broaden their horizon and take them out of just being right in their environment. So to see, it's much more to the world than what we think, because a lot of times you don't dream big because you don't think it's possible. So that's, if that answers.
Yes, ma'am. Good answer, Coach. So I was fortunate and blessed to be able to accompany you 1 year only, but I was fortunate and blessed to accompany you and Coach Allie on your giveaway. Tell us about that.
So once a month for the last 10 years, it's been 10 years, every third Saturday, we feed the homeless downtown. Right after you Shrewsbury 83 ends with St. Vincent de Paul Church, that little park right there. And that started 10 years ago. Alice and I was thinking of a way to give back, and we were teaching Kai, that he was my nephew, that he was fortunate and he was seeing, people hanging out and wanted to know how can he, we give back, because he didn't, understand what homeless meant and things like that, and he was 4 at the time. So we couldn't figure out how we could give back, and so it's a program called #LunchBag that started on Skid Row in California, and they feed thousands of people because they have a serious homeless problem. And so I looked into that. I was like, well, we can start our own branch in Baltimore City. And it started off as a brown paper bag lunch where it was just like a sandwich, chips, a note just saying something positive. And we was driving around downtown, and then that was a bit much because we was just like handing out bags, but trying to reach a lot of people. But the area that we go to, a lot of homeless people are in that area, because a lot of the resources for them are in that area. You have healthcare for the homeless back there. You have Our Daily Bread. A lot of the places, the shelters that they use are in that area. So they kind of like gather in that park and on those steps. So he's like, well, let's just make this the central place, because literally hundreds of people come there. And so third Saturday at 12 o'clock, we feed those in there. I don't like to say homeless, not everyone's homeless that comes down there. Some people, maybe their food stamps don't stretch. They just want an extra hot meal. So we moved away from the brown paper bag to I'm giving hot meals. Like during Thanksgiving, Christmas, we're giving like turkey, mac and cheese. I'm giving full meals. And we have not, thankfully, missed a Saturday. And we had our 10-year anniversary August of 25. And it's just something that we've seen even when I was in Miami as far as the homelessness, and seeing it here. And we just felt like if we just do our little part, that one day, that maybe an hour or two out of our day, I've seen people who had kids, and the kids are now 10 years older, and they're still, having struggles. But they know my car when my car will up. Mm-hmm. They know, so it's like that's very important to me, giving back in that way. And having like my kids, so we have days that they come down, my program, when it's off season, that I have them come down so they can see. No matter if you think you're not the blessed because you didn't get the latest PS or whatever, PS5, look how other kids live. Look how other people live. So we try to make sure all of our kids get down there at least once a year so they can see, thank your parents. You are blessed. May not get everything, but you are blessed. And that was our way of humbling. My nephew thought he could just ask for everything. And I'm like, hey, you spoiled, but there's another way, and to make him appreciate that it's not just about getting. There's people who are less fortunate, and that's something that you always want to do more. But that's our set schedule. Matter of fact, next week Saturday we'll be out there. But I'm very proud of the work that we've done, and it's just random volunteers, people I've met over the years. We post on social media. We don't post the people and things. That's how we get our volunteers, and just family and friends. And it's been going for 10 years. So, and I do thank you for coming out, so you've seen it firsthand.
Yes, ma'am. And what's the name of it again?
So it's called #LunchBagBalt, BALT, and it's just pretty much my sister and I, that we have people who donate, we buy the food, we cook the food, take it out there, we make sure we give them like cups of noodles, crackers, stuff that they can take afterward, but literally we're giving them a hot meal every third Saturday. So
#for Balt, man.
Yeah.
We gonna pray for it. We gonna support it, and we gonna put it out to the people so that they can support Coach Mo and Coach Allie.
Yes.
Coach, going back into your players, what would you consider a heart of a champion?
I think never quit. A lot of times our kids, we get caught up in the wins and losses that if things are not going the right way, instead of digging deep to say, okay, let me play to that last whistle blows. To me, just whether I win or lose, if you give me full effort from the beginning to the end, that's the heart of a champion to me, because I take that more serious than throwing your hands up and quitting because we're losing. Everybody love it when we're winning, but it shows me your character when we're losing and you don't give up and you fight, because sometimes that's when you're gonna see who's got it in those times. When we're winning,
well, it's pretty simple.
That's easy, right? It's when you're down, game's on the line, who's gonna stick it out and actually do what they need to do and fight through it whether you get the win or not, and sometimes you do because if you get enough of them, and then you can still come back. And I tell my kids, I said, just how we rave about the wins, make sure you do the same thing when we lose, because I said you can't just there's no way we're going to always win. And we've had a successful program, but that shows me the kids' character. And then the ones who don't, then I got to spend a little extra time with them, because that's a big red flag for me if you're a sore loser. I tell my kids, chest up, shake hands, better not drop a tear. There ain't no crying in basketball for me, just let you know. We don't do no crying, because guess what? You was laughing last week when we won, right? So you damn sure not going to cry, no tears. And then I said, you know what we got to do? We got to get back in the gym. There's something that we got to work on. That's what we take it. It's a lesson. So you sit up there crying, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. When the 6-year-olds, I let the 6-year-olds cry. My 12 and 14, you better be, please. They know. I'm at the point now where I can just make a face. I don't have to yell too much. You bet. Because I tell them, I said, people are watching. Don't never put your head down. You never know who's watching. Your body language makes a difference. What if you have a high school coach in here or a college coach in here for my older boys? You don't know who they're there to see, but maybe they see something in you. But first thing a coach spot, poor body language, attitude, not giving effort. You setting yourself up and you don't even know who's watching you. So to me, a heart of a champion is somebody who just don't give up, is going to dig deep and do what they need to do, win or loss, but literally show that they want it, So.
What's one of your go-to sayings or your go-to message?
For my kids?
Yes, ma'am. You're in the huddle. That time. They used to hearing this message. What's that message, Coach?
I'm trying to think. My go-to message. So one thing I tell my kids is to trust each other. Because a lot of times if the game, let's say if it's a close game or the game online, everybody want to be a hero. And I said, how did we get here? Team basketball, right? And so why we're going to lose on team basketball. I don't need a hero. I don't need to try to take the game and put it on your back. That's not how we are successful. We haven't been successful with just one man running the show. So I always try to say, trust your teammates. And they played with each other enough, especially like my older boys. They've been together since they were 6. We know who our shooters are. We know who could do what. Trust your teammates, and we're going to win as a team. We're going to lose as a team. So I just make sure I say, no egos. Trust your team. Calm down, because sometimes they hype and they start want to fuss with each other. I'm like, stop. Trust your team. I go out and play team basketball. We lose and we play team basketball. You won't hear a peep out of me. Why am I? If they did everything they were supposed to do, so I try to always tell them just trust each other and play team basketball. One man don't win this. So that's a lot of times where I think when we get in tight situations, somebody wants to be the hero. And so
okay. So since I have my sister right here, my Wildcat sister, right? I can remember a game that we played, that I played against Dunbar. You probably was there at Dunbar. I kind of seemed like I was going to be the hero at one point, but it didn't pan out that way, right? So my question right now for you is, what's a game, well, tell us about a game that you wish you could have back.
For my team?
Yes, ma'am.
Or I can tell you personally for me. So my junior year at Northwestern, we went undefeated. We lost to one school, but here's the catch. We lost to only Western regular season. We lost the Western City Championship. We lost the Western State Championship. So we went 20-3 my junior year. And I was mad because the seniors that were going to leave were so good. And I felt like that was our only chance. And it really happened because we never had that record again. It was my junior year. But they outsized us, killed us with fundamentals. They were just a great basketball team. I can't take anything from them, but that was the one I felt like we had them in the city championship state. I think we just, at that point, we were in our own head, and you see the name, you're like, oh Lord. But I felt like we had a good run in the city championship. The game was close most of the game, and then it just got away from us. So for me personally, the fact that you went 20-3, it was the same school, that lives in my head forever, because you can't forget that one. For my kids, I don't necessarily have a game that I would. We've won championships and we've lost in championships. because I feel like we still follow our program, did our plan, played our basketball. I know it was one game last year, one of my kids, he probably showed his ass, and it was uncommon, but he was in the 8th grade, and I think he was, they get exposed, so we're rec. And so a couple of my kids who are primarily basketball, who have headed that direction, start playing AAU. And sometimes they start smelling themselves. And unfortunately, I felt like he quit. We were down, and he quit on our team middle of the game. And I don't play that, And I was outside of my body. I grabbed his ass because that's never been our basketball.
Right.
And you know that because you've been in the same league with us, and my kids showing off like that, and I know what it was. They get a little big-headed when they finally make an AAU team, and they lose what we taught them as far as the core of basketball and how team. And I think it made him thought individual. And I said, even if you thought individual, you're still a quitter because you quit on your team. And my kids, the rest of them, the other 4 are hustling. He's walking up the court. I called timeout, and I think I lost my mind. So that was that's one that stood out recently, but because I don't care about wins and losses per se, but to see a kid that I've known literally, like, I didn't know who that person was, and I lost it because I was like, because I'm always like, at the end of the day, I make sure my program, whether you like us or not, or how you feel, I don't care. You know that we come in the gym, we look a certain way, we act a certain way. You should be able to see a Royals kid, know a Royals kid. So anything outside of that, I don't have high tolerance for. So I think that game really, and we've gotten past that, obviously, and he's in high school and he's doing good now, but I had to, from a learning perspective for me, just be mindful of my kids when they come back with those egos to check it early.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was an event.
Okay.
But he didn't forget about it, because trust me, when I got him in that hallway, he didn't forget me either.
You're going to probably take that lesson with him.
Trust me. And I told him, and I do it now. Like, he had a high school game the other day, and was not having the best first half, and he was just like moping around or whatever, and sitting on the bench when the team's warming up. I don't care who's coaching. I go over to, that's my kid. What you doing? You hurt? Nope. You sick? Get your ass up. Team's warming up. You warm up. What the fuck you sitting down for? So I don't care who they play. That you're a representative of me now. Because I never want a high school coach to be like, well, goddamn, what did you learn before you got here? So I checked him just last week, because that's not what we do. But for the most part, he's been doing well. But like, that was a learning experience for me, how to deal with that, and then it was a learning experience for him to know, I'm not playing. You never quit on your team. And it was because you were fine when we were in the first half, but to walk up and down while the game is going, I lost my mind. Lost it.
Okay. So you said you didn't really start out being a coach.
No.
But I know it's been some things. I mean, I'm just gonna ask you the question flat out. How has coaching changed your life, or changed you as a person?
I learned patience through these kids, through basketball, through running this program. It's a lot of politics, even in rec. Like, you would think rec would be easy. It's even politics in that, but they've taught me a lot of patience, because I don't have children, so I'm just go. Had to slow it down, be considerate of 100 other people, little people. So I've learned a lot of patience. I learned a lot about myself, about putting other people first, because when you by yourself, you can be selfish all you want. You don't have to think about anyone. So these kids have made me, they're my priority now, not just myself. So that's how I've changed, as far as they've changed, and it's changed for the better. I didn't think I could care about anyone else as much as I care about my kids.
Cold.
Yeah, it's they because I could be cold, just smoke on the go, and these kids, they've changed that.
So would you want to have your own children one day?
So I'm older than you, so that's not happening. Not interested. And I'm past the part that I would even consider, because I'm not about to be a grandmother running around behind no toddler. I don't have to, because I feel like in my program, those are all my children.
Right.
Yep. Because that's what I get to give them back to. So I'm good.
Okay. Where where where's Coach Mo go from here? In the next 5 years, where would you want to see your coaching career, and also where would you want to see your program?
So for me, I think in 5 years, I would be over 50 years old. I would want the program to continue. I don't know if I would be wear all the hats that I wear, because I wear the administrative hat. I coach 12 and 14. I want us to get to the point where, numbers-wise, I'm comfortable with us having one team at each age. I'm not necessarily looking to have a bigger program. It's kind of politics with trying to find places to practice anyway. So if you get a spot, probably growing that next set of coaches. Maybe some of my kids who are older, who have come through the program, maybe coming back, and I couldn't probably step away completely, but not having to coach as much, but continue the program because I see what the difference it makes. So not necessarily stepping away, but maybe slowing down or not wearing as many hats. But I definitely want the program to continue. We still got 6-year-olds now. We got a new batch that's coming and watching, and so in 5 years they would still be in the program. So probably extending the coaching staff, or getting someone to do a lot of the administrative stuff. Like literally, it comes down to, I design the uniforms, I order the uniforms, we collect the money, we go shopping for the shoes, we're at practice, we're coaching, we're cleaning up, we're doing concessions. So it could be a lot, and I don't have a 9 to 5 per se, so it could be a lot, and not as young as I used to be. So not completely slowing down, but delegating better.
Okay, Coach. What would you say was your most important comeback? Take us through that.
Personally?
No. In the game. I mean, personal. If you got personal, that may sound a little better.
You said my biggest comeback.
Your most important comeback.
Most important comeback. So 14, you could be competitive, and everyone don't follow the code that I follow. I try to be as honest as possible. I play by the rules. If it's 6U, it's 6U. If it's 10U, it's 10U. And if it's 14U, it's 14U.
Everybody don't quite.
Everybody don't really follow that philosophy, and I live by it, because I tell my kids I would rather lose if somebody have 16-year-olds, if that's what they want to teach their team. I'll lose to that than to teach my kids to cheat. And it happens to me every year. Because I say, what's going to be sweeter? When you beat their ass and they got ringers on their team. Like, motherfuckers getting in their car driving after the game that they played my 14U. And my kids are in middle school. I tell you, my kids just got to high school, right? So we ain't started the season yet, so they were in middle school. And people, for what? It's a rec trophy. I buy my kids trophy every year. So we don't need to do all that. And could we all could do it. I'm at a high school. I can grab any high school kid I want to and put on my team. But what am I teaching them? One, they're not going to get better playing down. So it's a disservice to the older kid. Two, what do you really accomplish saying you had older kids playing younger kids? I have my kids play up. So if you're on 8 and you have some skills and you want to get better, you play 8 and 10. 10, you play 10 and 12. 12, play 12 and 14. Down? Absolutely not. Because I'm teaching you to cheat. And what kind of message? And you don't understand, sports teaches things that we take into life. So if you're cheating in stupid ass rec to get a trophy, what are you going to do in your personal, in your real life, in the real world, when you're faced with that challenge? So a lot of times, so we had a game, and I won't call names of teams, where very clear as day, because my high school kids that had aged out my program told me that they were playing against these kids, and they were playing. So the game was very tight, and we were down, and my kids honestly they had the grit and the will, because they knew that they were being, and they just pulled. Well, I didn't know if they had it, and we were down, and it was ugly, and I was like, they just pulled from a place that probably they didn't even know that they had. And I hope they take that with them, that if you just dig deep, and they ended up winning the champion. It was a championship game, and our game still looked like a high school game, how intense it gets in there, because everybody wants to beat us.
Yes, we can.
And I don't know if they want to beat us because we got female coaches. I don't know if they want to beat us because we've been winning. I mean, I don't know, but it's just like when they play us, it feel like they gonna get everybody from around the way. So I was proud of my kids, because then I'm sitting here like, yeah, they beat 15 and 16-year-olds, but they shouldn't have been playing them. And so I always try to stress to my kids. I was like, if that's what they choose to do, let them do it. It happened in the summertime. They forget I have high school kids. And it's just literally we didn't do the full season for summer this year. We just did like a 1-day tournament. They pull the high school kids, and I just never want to be that person because I feel like everything that I do, I'm an example for my kids. I can't teach them to cut corners like that.
Right.
So that was like one of the best where they literally, we were on the ropes. And if we were going by the rules, we wouldn't have been. And they still was able to pull it through. So I think that was they really showed that they had that it, because not everybody have it. And like I said, and are my kids the most athletic or are they the best hoopers in the city? No, they just had heart, and that goes a long way.
Yes, ma'am. What was your proudest moment as a coach?
Proudest moment. So my kids just went to high school, and it was very emotional for me watching them all go to the different high schools.
First wave?
Yes, it's my first wave.
That's Kai and them?
Kai and them and they were 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just knowing that, and most of them all who tried out made their JV basketball teams. So when they were making the teams and telling Coach Meyer made the team, that was the proudest moment. So I'm like, okay, something stuck. Their coaches saw something that they did, that they learned. They've been with us since they were 6. I think that was that was very proud for me. And I have other kids that was in high school that was in my program before, but Kai and them are like the foundation.
The team. Yeah,
that was the team, and the fact that they're in high school. Kai played for Forest Park. He's on JV. Jabril, my real talk, he's at Forest Park. So for them to make the team, and even at some other schools that our kids are at, and the fact that I'm like, these are my babies. They're high schoolers now, and they're going on and they're playing sports and they're doing well and grades are good. That's a great feeling. I think I probably feel that when they start graduating. So to see them where they were when they were missing their teeth and everything, and now voice deep into girls, can't tell them nothing. I still gotta check them every now and then, but I also remember that these are I have young men now. I don't have boys for that group anymore. So I think that was very proud when I was getting all the reports of them making their team, even the ones that played football that made the football team. So this year was I was probably a little bit emotional. I ain't no punk, but I was a little emotional seeing my kids achieve and work hard and it actually pay off for them. This was a very proud year for me.
Good, Coach. So we have a segment on here that we call I Would Do Anything.
I would do anything?
So I would do anything to beat these SOBs. Okay, so we know Baltimore is a lot of rivals. It's a high tempered, it's a high action city. We like to get it. We got the east, the west, we got the inner hood. So during your playing days or coaching, whichever one you think fits best. Who was that team that gave you the trouble? Who was that team that you can't stand? You don't like them girls. You just want to beat them. They got a tough team, or you're coaching. You wanted to bust crunch time or coach Magic and them, or but you would do anything to beat those SOBs. Take us through that.
So I probably shared already. High school would have been Western. Yeah, they just had and they probably, I don't know about, I don't follow the girls too much now, but they had an amazing program, and I just don't know what we were missing that they just mastered. And it's always the fundamentals. We would play private schools back then, and they would just be the most vanilla possible game, but it was fundamentals. But Western would be the only school, because it wasn't a school in high school that we didn't beat or had a challenge with, but not to be cocky, but in rec.
Okay.
In rec, probably when they were my first 12U, when we first was coming to 12U, we had lost to a team, but we haven't lost to them since. And it was a learning lesson for me, and I had to go back to the drawing board as far as making adjustments, digging deeper in coaching, relying on some other coaches to support to get us where we need to be. Not having an ego, knowing you might need some outside resources to help. And got our boys where it needs to be, and they haven't lost to them since. So, but yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna turn to camera 2.
Camera 2.
And we're gonna let them know I would do anything to beat these SOBs, and then you let us know who they are.
You want me to tell you the team that I was talking about?
Yes, ma'am. You gotta point to the camera and let them SOBs know who you're talking about.
But we beat them.
So we're gonna say, but no, but you gotta tell the camera though.
Okay.
So we're gonna say, I would do anything to beat these SOBs, and then you let us know who those SOBs are.
I would do anything to beat these motherfuckers, not SOBs, these motherfuckers. And it was the YFL Hawks. Those are our enemies.
Okay, Hawks. You know what time it is.
You know, it might be an east side, west side thing too, because you know how we west to we die, but
yes, ma'am.
That east,
yes, ma'am.
They just bring something out of you.
Yes, ma'am. You said that Coach Robinson was like your sensei, right?
Yes.
So we want to turn the camera 2.
Okay.
And we want to let Coach Robinson know his impact on us, how he made us feel, and we want to thank him.
So Coach Robinson, I probably never told you the impact that you've had on me as a young girl watching you coach, into a young woman, to an adult coaching myself, having a program. I watched and I felt how you cared for your boys, and I've taken that into my role as a coach now. I know how you cared about me and how you had my back and how you were a father figure and a mentor to me to this day. And you probably didn't even set out to do that, or probably didn't even know that's what you were doing. But I do want to let you know that you have had a major impact on young Mo to older Mo. And I do thank you for your patience, your guidance when I was in school, and just always having my back, and just the principles that you set out, the example that you set. I've been following it, and I thank you.
Alrighty. Before it's all over, Coach, what would you want your legacy to be?
So it's funny. So I just was looking at this. I had to do something for work, and they asked me what's my favorite quote, and it was a Maya Angelou quote that says, "People may not remember what you say, people may not remember what you do, but people always remember how you made them feel." And I would want my legacy to be that my kids or anyone that come in contact with me, she really cared. Based on how I made them feel, that I actually cared. I think that would be what I want my legacy to be.
Okay. Give me 2 minutes and I'm going to get you out of here, Coach.
Right.
You got to get up for this one.
Oh, I got to get up.
On behalf of the Coach's Corner and the Crew Channel, we'd like to present you your flowers.
Thank you. I appreciate
We got a
that.
golden whistle for you, Coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
Continue doing what you're doing.
Thanks.
Coach Mo.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And thanks for what you're
Let
doing.
me get a good picture, Coach.
Are you not going to be in the picture?
Let
Just
me get
me?
your picture. Just you.
Wait, let me show you my whistle.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Mo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.